our President from India, Mr. Is here with us. It's a pleasure to have him here. He could not be here at the gala, but I'm delighted that he's taken the time to come. He's on a whirlwind trip. He came Sunday, landed in Vancouver, had meetings all the time, and he's flying out at 9:30 today. So he's really being jet lagged very, very seriously, I can tell you that. But he's been very kind, he's been with me, and he's never slept while he was talking to me. So that's a very
Use Red Bull gives you wings.
We don't do that. All natural stuff. So without further ado, I'd like to give the stage to Mr. Fadnis. He'll speak to us about his vision, about what we can do together more. And you can maybe speak a little bit about a meeting this morning as well. So,
thank you, Chairman of Toronto Chapter, the Vice Chair, and all my friends, brothers and sisters. Very nice to meet all of you. And as he said, I have not slept because he keeps on talking and he engaged me. So I'm sure nobody can sleep. It's been a very interesting and exciting day. Of course, I just landed 2 days back, and there was a first anniversary of Vancouver chapter, and there were some meetings yesterday. And today morning also we used our time very fruitfully meeting the CPA chapter here, CPA Institute here. So as you know that there has been a merger of the 3 institutes in Canada, and we had a MOU with the Chartered Accountant Institute. But post-merger, it is the Canadian institutes which are finding out how they would like to move forward. And we, on our side, have been in continuous dialogue with the CPA. I expect what we were told today is that somewhere in February they are taking a decision at one level. I couldn't follow the names of the boards which they were mentioning. But what I understood is the first board meets somewhere around February, and their final decision making is in April. And well, we also have a process to be followed when the MOU is to be finalized. It gets approved in our council, in the Central Council of the Institute. And then any MOU which the Institute does with any body outside India, it goes to the ministry, the Home Ministry, and finally, these days, it also goes to the Union Cabinet. So that is the kind of importance which the MOUs which the Institute enters into has in terms of the Indian legal system. So it takes also some amount of time at our end, and that's what we conveyed to them, that once you give us what is, we agree to the fine print at your end and our end, both the institutes will be needing some time to ink out the final draft. But nevertheless, I'm quite confident before end of 2016, the MOUs should be in place and would enable our members coming to Canada a more clearer picture as to what is going to happen. The MOU which was there till some time back, I believe it has been useful to our members, and many of the members have taken the benefit of that route. But I also realized that there is a lot of differences in which that MOU was being implemented in Canada between what was happening in a place like Toronto and how it was being implemented in Vancouver. And I felt very sorry when one of the members approached me day before yesterday in Vancouver and told me that he was from Patiala, and he said he came to Vancouver 2 years back. And around the same time, one of his friends had migrated to Australia, and he said his Australian friend had settled down properly in the last 2 years, and this person was still struggling. So that was the point which we indirectly conveyed to the CPA Institute, that because there is no clarity at your end today, many of our members may not like to come to Canada, they may like to go to the other places. So what they told us in turn is that the MOU with the Indian Institute is on their topmost agenda, and we therefore expect it to be finalized shortly. So well, that is how it is, and once that becomes clearer, say by February, we'll know what is the way forward. So a lot of things are happening both in Canada and of course way back home in India. We have a booming economy and with a very strong central government, a lot of reforms taking place. as you would be seeing and reading in the media, many times there is a skepticism that not much has happened since the new government took over the last 1.5 years. But as president, as I had the privilege to working very closely with the government, I can tell you there's many things which are happening. And some of the things which are of great interest to our members could be, as you know, the Minister of Railways is also a chartered accountant, Mr. Suresh Prabhu, and he has embarked upon a project of accounting reforms in Indian Railways. The Indian Railways is looking at an investment of around $100 billion by way of direct investment in the railways in the next 3 to 5 years. And as I understand, when Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government was there, they laid a lot of importance on the infrastructure and the road infrastructure. And the Modi government has an idea of laying emphasis on the railway infrastructure. So around $100 billion is the investment which is likely to come to Indian Railways. And in that background, the Honorable Minister has launched this accounting reforms, and he spoke about accounting reforms in the railway budget when he presented his first budget in February 2015. And friends, you'll be happy to know that our institute, we have a not-for-profit company, Accounting Research Foundation, ARF. So through ARF, we are helping the Indian Railways in this accounting reforms. And one of the very ambitious projects which is currently going on is having an activity-based costing being introduced in the Indian Railways. So this is one of the very favorite subjects which the Minister is talking about, is having an output budget. So what he says is, this is the amount which I had planned, this is the amount spent, this is the output, and what is the outcome arising out of that output. So it is a system whereby you are going to measure the cost, and out of that there will be certain non-monetary benefits which are to be measured as to what they were conceived of and what is the actual outcome. And there recently we have finalized the concept paper. I am very happy last week the Indian Railways has hosted it on their website. So our institute through this Accounting Research Foundation is working very closely on these accounting reforms, and this has a great importance not just for the entire economy as a whole, but also directly to our profession, and it is going to put our profession into the mainstream, not just in India, but this achievement is going to be something global. So this is what we are currently working very closely with the government so far as this accounting reforms project is going on. Besides this, of course, we had a new law recently, Companies Act 2013, which has changed what all of us had read about Companies Act 1956. That is now in the backbench, and many other provisions which we have learned so passionately under the Companies Act would now undergo a lot of changes. But Companies Act 2013 has brought in certain very far-reaching implications again for the accounting profession. So we have this concept of rotation of auditors which has been started in India with this new law. Rotation of auditors was there in Italy and in very few other jurisdictions. It is today also being spoken about in the European Union, and as far as India is concerned, it is now a reality. So that means a big challenge for the auditing fraternity. And a lot of areas have been, like we have a section called Section 144 of the new Companies Act, which defines what are the services which an auditor cannot render to that auditing company. And we had, as you know, this concept of internal audit, statutory auditor not doing an internal audit in a company. And we had this since 1949. What came in the US by way of a Sarbanes-Oxley Act somewhere in 2002, but we had that right from the inception of our institute. And now with the new provisions contained in the Companies Act, some of the ethical standards which we had laid down also become part of the law, and therefore the audit profession in India is undergoing a major change. So on one hand, you have rotations coming in, so each firm knows what it is going to lose without being sure about what is going to come back by way of rotation. And at the same time, there are certain services which are being defined as services which are prohibited to be given by the auditor to the auditing client. So that is one major change I look at in the Indian profession. So there will be firms which would be specializing in audit, and there's a heavy penalties which have come down under Indian laws for the auditors, and therefore there will be large number of firms which will remain away from audits of public interest entities. So you will see amongst the chartered accountant firms back home in India, firms specializing in audit and firms doing rendering services other than audit. So these are certain dynamics of what is happening in our country. There are a lot of changes going on. GST is expected. It is somewhere locked up in the parliament today. Lok Sabha has cleared it, Rajya Sabha is still debating, and it's more of a political issue. So when it is to come is for the politicians to decide, but when it comes, how it is going to be and how it is going to affect the businesses is what we are deliberating upon, and we are working very closely with the government also in the sector of the GST. So far as the students are concerned, we are in the process of bringing out a new course curriculum. As I say very often in many of the meetings is that an Indian chartered accountant can do anything under the sun. And we have people rendering in different businesses and different walks of life. But something which all of us will never do is to appear again for the CA exams. I'm sure of that. So, course curriculum, which was as stringent back before, and as I was discussing that we don't have any concept of how many will pass. Though before I entered the council year, I thought that the institute controls the number, but that is not really so. We are bringing out a new course curriculum which has been approved by the council. It is before the government, and we have a regulatory mechanism whereby that course is to be approved by the ministry. It is put up in the gazette. We invite comments from the public at large, and then it gets finalized. So that regulatory process is today currently in progress, and that is also another milestone which would be completed somewhere in 2016. So friends, these are some few things which I thought I can share with you. I don't want to keep on talking, but would be very happy to take your questions and discuss any issues which you may like me to ponder upon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Manoj. Yes. Thank you, Manoj. Thank you, everybody, to come by here. We spent the whole day with the president, and I think we had a lot of values here. And I think he's working very tirelessly. I call him many at 8 o'clock. I say, is he ready? I say, but 6, 7:30, Manoj is ready. So he's working very hard, and we are thankful for him to come by here, and we appreciate all your help in going back.
So this is from the institute to the chapter.